We're very happy to have our two speakers today, Vandewilly Silva and Nersisyan, both architects in the GLP R&D. We'll be talking about natural language access to your infrastructure via GreenLake MCP. And before we start the session, and while people are joining, I'll be going through very quick housekeeping items. Sorry. Yeah. So as you know, the developer community is all about skilling up people and the community itself through different means. The first one is the one that you're actually attending to, which is a Munch and Learn. These bi-monthly series are usually thought leadership, vendor type of product agnostic type of session, really high level type of discussion. We're reaching now the 45th session of the Munch and Learn. So it's been some time, but still going on. Next Munch and Learn will take place in March on the 18th. It will be around HPE and open source. It will be a panel discussion led by Rayed Shilnet. There will be a meetup because that's another way of learning things in the community. And meetups are more in-depth, down to the bone type of approach, more techie type of a talk. They are also taking place every month. It will be next month, yeah, on February. It will be around Aruba and some Postman collection, and this will be delivered by Albin Castro, who is leading the AREDS community. There are also some AI-related events that can take place. For the time being, we're holding all these ones. We need to figure out new speakers, and we're discussing with some AI Connect members to figure out some potential discussion and subject to be held there. So obviously, the dev community is about these events, okay? But it's not only this. I mean, the dev community is also all about the workshops on demand. So if you're willing to learn and do some hands-on free type of experience, you can go on the website. There are a few workshops. I mean, we've limited the numbers of workshop. The catalog is shrinking, but we're working on some new content at the moment. So obviously, the meetup that you're attending, or the Munch and Learn that you're attending today is recorded. The replay will be made available on our website, and it will be part of our YouTube playlist as well. So if you feel interested in learning more, well, as a community, we need you, we need your help, and we need you to join in, to get people to join in. Okay, so invite people to our talks. Invite customers, pre-sales, anybody is willing is welcome, I would say. We have a monthly newsletter, so this will summarize all the activities of the dev community in the past months. So being blogs, being workshops on demand, being meetups and Munch and Learn or events that could be relevant to the community. There are also our Slack workspace, I mean the external one. And we've got many different channels in there and many different groups. So please sign up and you can have a wonderful discussion and support from any type of, I would say, dev-related questions. Should you be a subject matter expert like these two speakers today? Well, you can contribute by writing a blog. You can reach out to us to deliver some meetup or Munch and Learns, and you can also create some workshops on demand. So hopefully, Mathieu, my colleague in the team, is pasting all the different links in the chat, allowing you to bookmark them and come back to us. So there's one slide that you need to know about the Dev Community Program, which is about building, communicating, and collaborating all together. The Slack channels, the different newsletter, a mail if you want to reach out directly to us. We have a Twitter handle, and we have some workshops on demand. Should you be scanning the QR code, you'll get all the links all together. Now, with no further ado, and hopefully I'm on time, well, you should be able to, I should be able to hand over now to Vandewilly, and I'll be stopping my sharing and you can take over. Okay, now all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Fred, for the opening remarks. Hi, everybody. My name is Roman. Together with Vandewilly, guys, today we'll present GreenLake MCP servers. We are architects in a GreenLake MCP project, in the GreenLake project at HPE. So, and this was our recent release, happened in December, that we want to present to the HPE dev community. So, next slide. So what's the agenda today? We'll talk about what is MCP server and what was the why we created it, what's the purpose of it, a little bit about the history of MCP protocol, um, um, and the approach we take to release the MCP, HPE GreenLake MCP servers. What was the considerations we took when we were designing it and releasing? Uh, some of the nuances of the architecture and the versioning strategy, how we actually deciding that, and what's going to come next. There will be some interesting parts which we are planning actually in the next in the future this year. And also we'll have guys Q&A. So any questions you have, please ask them in the chat, or if you want to ask them directly, you can ask at the end of the session. So, what's the purpose of the MCP servers and how it started? So, as you know, in enterprises, like people are or like used to use your UI screen or using some APIs, SDKs, CLI, some automation scripts like Terraform. However, with the rise of AI, LLMs, and the generative AI, this has been changing. People are starting interacting with the AI assistants alongside with their traditional interfaces. So, and it makes easier in the some assess, like then you try to be in the same basically dashboard in the same interface and asking questions. So not only just about what's going on in the in your enterprise, but also with some other tools you can connect to the AI assistants. So this was started like again a few years back when the AI boom started, and these players like having a difficulty with the connecting with the real stuff, real data, real systems. Can we go next slide? Yeah. So what was the problem? LLMs are large language models. They usually they are actually trained on the static data. So it's a collected pre-data that they are trained. And if you remember initially when ChatGPT was released, it wasn't able to answer any real question. Like you couldn't ask what's the current weather or what's the what time it is. So it wasn't able to connect to the real systems. So it is a pre-trained data. So even like some large language models, you can, if you have like some powerful server, you can deploy it and you will be able to interact with it without the connection to real data. So how to connect it with real data? So initially, all the large players like Anthropic, uh, OpenAI, and others, they're actually creating the custom connectors, custom data wrappers on top of existing any, let's say, systems, APIs, and they're trying to connect that with their AI agents. So the access to real to other like systems proprieties was even like non-existing. So and that was creating the problem a lot of hurdle like each time to integrate with any other systems. So and that's how evolution basically the thinking of standardization is started. Next slide. Uh, so with that, model context protocol has been invented in 2024 at Anthropic, November 2024. So what does it try? It tried to actually standardize how you can connect to your AI assistants or AI agents to any system existing systems. Like it can be, you can think it as your any database, your file system, any system that has API or any interface such like that. So it was trying to standardize this connector. Previously, it was, as I said, it was kind of a mess, manual work to integrate these systems. And MCP tried to actually make it standardized. You can think it like example is like I don't know, kind of a USB invention when you try to connect any type of electronic to your laptop. So USB MCP is kind of that connector which allow to standardize any connection to the LLMs. Um, it
Would you mind me? Would you want me to bring up the poll right now? The first one, first question.
yeah, please. Mhm.
So we have
Uh,
a quick poll for you. So just
mhm.
regarding your, I would say, awareness of GreenLake MCP.
Yeah,
So
thank
the
you.
question is fairly simple. How familiar are you with MCP? Never heard of it, but haven't used it. I've used MCP before. I'm advanced and I'm MCP interested. So we'll wait. We got only 50%. So if all the people in the meeting can answer the poll, as soon as we get a good level of participation, I'll be ending up the poll. Uh, and I'll share the result at the end.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Uh, So after release of the protocol, it gained massive actually growth. Like almost everybody like started creating their MCP servers because it was actually making their life easier. Like it's how to connect any system to your AI agent. And major players in the industry adopted it. So OpenAI, even though it's like coming from Anthropic, adopted it and in ChatGPT, and you're able to actually connect through the MCP server, ChatGPT, basically to other MCP servers. Uh, Soon, hyperscalers actually also joined the MCP steering committee. So it was they're interested basically to make it standardized. Other companies such as Microsoft and Okta also contributed to evolution of the authorization specification of MCP, and it helped actually to bring it closer to enterprise security considerations that are there, which is a little different from the single user consumer based security aspects. And
Roman? Just to
yep.
show you the result of the poll. So it's a
Mhm.
question, how familiar are you with MCP, Model Context Protocol? So we've got a few that never heard of it, a good amount that heard of it but never used it, then a few who have already used MCP, and a fewer again who are advanced in MCP and interested in learning more. Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll try to cover the parts that are interested, all the type of the answers, guys. We'll also explain some of the nuances, more technical, and also like high level, like all the considerations we took. So uh, let's let's keep going, guys. I think it will be interesting for everybody. Uh, yeah, so last year will say like it kind of become de facto standard in industry, and last just December, like second half of December, Anthropic donated MCP protocol to Linux Foundation, and with few other companies like Google, AWS, Cloudflare, Box, and others, they formed new agentic AI foundation under Linux Foundation. So it's a new foundation. It again gained massive interest. Like the founding is almost passing the CF, only this foundation passing the whole CNCF. So major players are there. So you can think it's like we are in a situation when the Kubernetes was becoming open standard, and hyperscalers joined the efforts to make it happen. So we are living in exciting time in I would say, like, and specification is continuing evolving. Just 2 days back, MCP community, they announced MCP applications which allow MCP servers to provide the UI components so AI agents can render them. Uh, and if you generalize, you can think like with the AI boom, LLMs are kind of brains behind everything. But MCP protocol and MCP servers is kind of your blood vessels or like your nervous system, which is connecting everything. And that's the enabler in the enterprise. So otherwise, LLMs are very isolated. But with MCP servers, you can think it's like connecting with the very easy with everything. And it is evolving. It will continue. So next slide, please. So a couple examples like how it is helping with the MCP server. So what you can do with the previously again with LLMs, you can ask any questions about existing like okay, what happened historically with this year. So when it already knows on pre-trained data, some historical data, but with the connection of the real systems, you can ask questions like. who has logged to my system yesterday, or like show me the logs in the last hour, like how many devices I have, or do I have devices in a specific location. So this was kind of, you can think, questions in the enterprise, like systems, like again, GreenLake or any like other enterprise system, or like you can ask. And it will kind of LLM will be able to detect that there is a MCP specific tool, and it will try to connect with it and get the data from there, and then process it and respond to you. So this was the again the reason to be able to do these things. It's the reason, like again, it's gain massive interest. Protocol itself, you can think it's a JSON RPC, and with the parts on the authorization specs, and this how you can describe all the tools that you have in the systems. Next slide, please. So that was the intro box about the GreenLake MCP. Sorry, intro about overall MCP server. I know there's a lot of information in the internet, so we don't want to spend much time there. We want to focus on like what was again our approach on building GreenLake MCP servers. The in industry after like last year there was a lot of debate. Should we build MCP servers using the existing APIs, REST APIs, and existing SDKs? So, and a lot of people are saying that okay, they are not suitable actually to create your MCP server that will bring a value. However, I think it's a partial truth, and building custom APIs or specific APIs just for MCP servers, it usually makes sense in either your we need the system which has a limited capacity, limited authorization capacity. So like it doesn't have any granularity of your with your RBAC, ABAC, or if you have any other authorization system such as like tag based. So when you have, let's say, single user, you have access to anything in your system. Building custom APIs for those is easy. With the large enterprises, when it has a lot of users in a one account with a lot of granular authorizations, uh, it will be difficult to create the custom APIs because you have to actually create a separate set of the APIs which should mimic the same authorization permissions and same author and enforce them in a different set of the APIs. So that's the reality. That's the same as with any like hyperscaler, AWS, Azure, or GCP. So they have very granular authorization system. So building the separate one will you create another surface of attack, and you have to maintain these two actually together. So what approach we decided to take? In a GreenLake, we already have very standardized APIs. We have what we call GreenLake API standards, which services participating on GreenLake are trying to follow. So all the APIs you can think is kind of look the same, semantically and syntactically. They have the same grammar, and building MCP servers on top of them it actually make us easier. So approach we decided to take using the open API specs that we have already on our services to generate MCP servers and using this and make it customizable if it makes sense by the specifics of service. However, we are trying to make it as uniform as possible. So that's why Vandewilly will explain that we have very robust MCP generator tool that is allowing us to generate MCP servers using our open API specifications. So in a diagram, you can see that we have, again, services. On top of them, we have every GreenLake service has its own APIs. And with each API, we're actually generating MCP servers with it, and we are bundling them together. So you don't have to actually install specific MCP servers separately. It's just in a one repository. And it will use this one repository to actually, you will be able to configure MCP servers that you need. Yeah, so sorry, I forget to mention that GreenLake MCP servers currently are local MCP servers, so you're installing in your local machine. Yeah, with that, I will hand over to Vandewilly, who will go to the details about the MCP servers.
Before we start, and while you're sharing, I mean, stopping sharing and moving on, there is a question in the chat. Has anybody explored MCP application yet? The recent extension, or is it your technical roadmap? And there is a link in there. So I don't know whether, Roman, if you can take a look at the chat and see whether you can answer the question there, or...
Yeah, that was announced this week. We would love to experiment with that, but it's just recent announcement from the protocol itself.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks, Roman. Thanks, Fred. So, what exactly have we built? So, let me walk through the architecture for GreenLake MCP server. So, everything in this blue area runs on your machine, runs in the customer environment, not in the cloud. So, you have your agent, the LLM that you choose, and the MCP server that you can just pretty much download. It's a public GitHub repo. So the only thing in the cloud is what is already there. It's the HPE GreenLake. So all the authentication mechanism, the authorization, rate limiting, it's already in place. So we didn't add anything new. So we are not creating any new attack surface here. So we are leveraging the existing APIs, the existing RBAC authentication mechanism, and in this blue area, that is going to run in the customer environment. The communication from agents, that could be GitHub Copilot or a cursor or a custom agent, any LLM the customer can use, which is going to communicate using standard I/O with the MCP servers. So let me show you how this piece talk to each other. So let me go to the next slide. Okay, here's the data flow in action. If you can think the MCP itself is just a translator, it's going to take natural language intent and convert to API calls. Okay, basically the user is going to ask a question. The AI will figure out how to communicate with the MCP server, and the MCP server will make the API call using HTTPS or OAuth protocol in order to receive data. And the MCP protocol itself, it's very straightforward. It's a exchange of JSON RPC calls where there is an initial handshake mechanism where the server is going to inform, this is my name, this is the capabilities that I supported. Then the client can ask, okay, list me all the tools that you have available. And once the agent, the LLM, has information about the tools, every time I ask a question about devices, the agent should be smart enough to know, okay, maybe there is a tool that I just aware of this tool, and this tool might be able to answer a question about devices in my workspace. That's pretty much how it works. The MCP is going to return structured data, JSON in this case, to the agent, and using the LLM, that will be converted to a natural language. This is pretty much the workflow. So what can you actually ask today? What kind of questions? So we have 5 MCP servers available right now. So we have device, so the customer can know about the hardware, servers, storage, network, equipment, access points. We also have users and workspace, so who has access, their permissions, the organizational structure. Audit logs is also available, who did what and when. So you have all the compliance every time something changes or some access happens in your workspace. You have access to audit logs and subscription. So you have the license status, renewal dates, and also you can make a combination of both, like what are my device with subscriptions about to expire in the US East region. So you can combine multiple questions using multiple MCP servers. So, but a lot of questions that we got are, is this secure, right? So how about the security? So let me talk about the 4 key security points we have in the MCP servers, something that Roman covered before, but they are read-only. So the agent, the AI can look but cannot modify your data. We are not supporting write operations. It's not due to some technical limitation. It's a deliberate decision we are making right now to, as we evolve in this world, in the AI world, we are only support read operations, which means get API calls. The permission itself, so it's going to use the existing RBAC. So you can think that if you cannot see an information in the GreenLake portal, you are not going to be able to see through MCP servers. Okay, so if you don't have access to C device, you are not going to be able to using natural language to search for device. It's encrypted. All the traffic is HTTPS, TLS, as same as the portal, as same as the northbound APIs, and it's local, runs in the on your machine, runs in the customer environment. So it's pretty much standard I/O, two different pipes, one's standard in, standard out, and the communication using JSON RPC. Okay, so now let me talk how we build these servers. So how we can make this scalable. At GreenLake today, we have hundreds of APIs. So it's going to be tough to write MCP servers for each API endpoint. So we don't write these servers by hand. We generate them. So internally, we created a tool, it's written in Go, and this tool is responsible to get the open API spec, parse the API spec, and generate tools for read operations. There are capabilities to filter some operations that shouldn't be part of the MCP server, but the idea is to, with a simple binary and using all the benefits of the API standard, like we have a standard way to filter, we have a standard way to have pagination. So using all these capabilities from the APIs we have available today, we are generating MCP servers. For now, we are generating in Python. We also adding the ability to generate in Go. This is not released yet, but all the MCP servers, it's a monorepo written in Python. And they have a standard structure. All the authentication part is handled inside this code, all the tests, documentation, unit tests. So everything is part of this generator. So as soon as we have a new API, it's straightforward to generate a new MCP server. It's the same process. Okay. So, but now how do we know the generated servers actually work correctly? Because, okay, the MCP servers will have unit tests, but we'd like to know if can we test simulating a customer environment. So we test with real AI, not just unit tests. We have a test framework internally where before releasing to the public repo, we send natural language queries to this test framework. It's a real LLM. So we use Cloud, we use Llama. It's going to call the MCP tools. So the server itself is going to query real data from GreenLake, and we validate the response. The idea is if the AI or this test framework cannot use the MCP server effectively, we are not going to release, and that means we should improve or in the API side or in the MCP code what we are doing today. So, and why we are doing that is, let me move to the next slide, is maybe pretty much three things we want to validate as part of this workflow. So first is the tool selection. So if my agent has knowledge about different MCP servers, when I ask a question about, for instance, device, I want to make sure device 2 is being selected and not audit logs. So this is the kind of validation we usually make. Also the parameters. So if I ask for servers in East Coast or in Dallas, I need to make sure the filter is being populated properly by location in this case. And also error handling, of course. What happens if we have empty results, or corner case, invalid queries, if I'm passing something supposed to be a string, we are passing an integer. So all this corner case, we are trying to validate. Okay, so, but one important question is API is going to evolve, APIs are going to change. So when an API changes, we need to keep everything in sync. What I mean by that is how do we version those APIs? Like you can think the MCP server like any other library, like an SDK. Okay, it's going to have versions. We are using semantic version, but the versioning is automatic. It's not manual. So pretty much you have two main aspects in order to bump those versions. We can bump the minor, major, and patch version. One is the OpenAPI itself. As we evolve the APIs, we are going to have new endpoints, breaking chains. We are going to deprecate endpoints, add parameters. So every time something changes, we need to evaluate if it's a major, minor, or a patch. Similar with the generator itself, the Go binary we have. Changing the generator is going to impact the way that the MCP server in Python will look like. So these are the two main aspects are considered as part of the version. Okay. Yeah, I think enough slides. So let me show you this working live. Let me move to my second monitor. Let me quickly go over our prod environment. This is HPE GreenLake. I'm gonna use one specific test account. Let me just log in real quick. Okay, increase a little bit. Okay, this is pretty much the HPE GreenLake as of now. The HPE GreenLake, we have access to different services. We have access to the device inventory, where I can see all my device subscriptions, what is expiring. I also have access to users. I can invite users, change permissions, so on and so forth. The HPE GreenLake, we also have APIs, right? So we have a bunch, pretty much what we can do from the portal itself. We provide northbound APIs. The customer can consume. If you see, we have quite a few APIs available today. So what I want to show you, let me go to this specific portal. Actually, this is the VS Code. We can imagine the VS Code acting as our agent. Okay, I just want to show how it works. But before making any questions, just let me quickly show how simple it is to configure one specific MCP server. In this case, this is how VS Code itself works. There is a configuration file called mcp.json. In this file, basically, I've cloned the public repo, which is, this is for the audit logs. And I'm passing basically three env variables. What is my workspace ID? And what is the client ID and client secret associated to my user for this workspace ID. This is something that you can go in the GreenLake portal, create your API token, and have this kind of information. That's basically it. From the VS Code, and again, VS Code here is acting as an agent. If I list here, I can see basically in this case, I have 5 different MCP servers enabled: audit logs, device management, subscription management, user management, and workspace. And with that means I can select my model. In this case, I'm going to use the Cloud Opus 4.5. You can select different models. So basically, VS Code is my agent. This is my LLM. And now I can ask questions. I can go over a few questions I was running before this demo. So just a quick disclaimer here. I asked it in the very beginning to not show any PII information. just to make sure in the logs we're not going to have email address, IP address, but this is just for this demo. The customer will have access to this kind of information. So my first question was basically list all devices in my workspace. Okay, if I just ask this to an LLM without any MCP connected, the LLM will not be able to answer this kind of question. And if you see here, in this case, it listed in this specific workspace, I have 11 devices. I have storage device, access point, compute, gateways. This is the region, the status. I can even fetch more information about the device itself. So this is the kind of query we can ask to using natural language, just to show the protocol a little bit, not going over too much information, but if you see here, it was able to figure out there is a tool called Get Devices View 1, and it was able to call this tool without any filter, because in this case, you can think if you want to translate that to an API call, it's a get all the devices. And the output was a JSON, you see here, and that was returned to the LLM, and the LLM was able to base it on that JSON response to translate that to some more organized, some natural language response. Okay, it's a summary about this was from the exactly the same question. So then I asked one more question. So list all the devices located in the East Coast. And that's interesting because the tool, it's still the same tool. I'm calling the Get Devices View 1. And one interesting thing is the LLM was able to figure out, based on my question, what is the filter we have to use in order to fetch that data? And this is the filter. Again, we have this, the API standards for HPE GreenLake. In this case, we are using all data filter. It was able to figure out, okay, this is the parameter, this is the all data filter, and this is the argument I need to pass. In this case, the response was empty because if you see here in the previous question, all the devices are in the US West. And the answer was, there are no devices located in East Coast, but you have 11 devices located in the US West. And if you see here in this scenario, it's exercising the device MCP server. So then I asked it, list my last 10 audit logs. From this question, I didn't have to say use this MCP server or use that MCP server. From this question, agent was able to figure out this is probably the right tool to be called. There is a tool called Get Audit Logs. And let me pass one filter called limit. Again, due to our API standard, from my query was able to pass 10 audit logs. And here I was able to see, and by the way, because I'm removing the PII data, I'm not showing here, but the response will have the user email, the name, the full name, where you can see the specific user launched the service at this time in this specific region. Similar with loading workspace, user logout. So if you want to troubleshoot something just using natural language, that's completely possible. Okay. Then I asked one more interesting question. If you see here, it's not just list my 10 audit logs as what happened over the weekend in my workspace during lunchtime. So you can be very, very specific. Of course, the agent should be smart enough to base it on this kind of query, make sure, okay, I think now the filter should look like this. We have the created ad. So we are passing the time that corresponds to last weekend, lunchtime. And then just mention, okay, nothing, no user activity, just system activity, some location management that expired. This kind of information, what that happened. Then I asked it, any suspicious activity in the last 4 hours. In that case, base it the same way, the same query was listing all the activities, and one activity was a new role assignment created. That's something I've performed this action before this meeting just to illustrate one specific user in the workspace changing roles. Okay, so more info here, masquerading some IP address. So, and similar way, how many users are part of my workspace? In that case, it's a different MCP server. I can see this is the number of users part of my workspace. 100% of the users are verified. I have domains from this domain, some partners domain. So this is basically what we have today. So let me try to run at least one query live. Let me ask for any suspicious activity in December during the holidays or something like this. Let me see how it's going to work. Okay, and was able to see, okay, there is a tool that might be able to answer to this kind of question. It's going to call the tool, parse the data, and summarize the conversation. Yeah, let's wait a few more minutes to get the output. Maybe it's a large data set, maybe. Yeah, it was able to return the results. Let's see. Yeah, and then it's going to maybe, yeah, if you see here, it's trying the agent is trying different approach. So first start from here, then try different queries to different periods of time, but that's what happened in this workspace during the holidays. So this is the kind of troubleshoot and kind of debug session you can have with users, device, workspace, license, and a combination of different MCP servers. Yeah, I think with that, just before I hand over to Roman, this is the public repo I was talking about. I'm gonna paste in the chat all the MCP servers. They have documentation how to install the MCP servers in different agents, or even if you have a custom agent. So this is something we have as
Should I
of now.
get the poll now?
Yeah, please. With that,
Yeah.
over to you, Roman. Let me go back to the presentation.
Yeah, well, we're going back to the presentation. A very quick poll on MCP as well, just for the live demo. After seeing this, how likely are you to try MCP? And it seems that you were very convincing, because I can see that many people are answering, yes, I want to try this for now. So I'll give it a few more, maybe a minute or so, and then I'll be sharing the result of the poll. But for now, the very interested is the winner, I would say. So, over to you, Roman.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. So yeah, guys, please feel free to download, clone it, our repo. Like you can see it, it's here. Like it's in a Hewlett Packard, basically a HP public GitHub repo. It's called GLMCP repo. So feel free to clone it, try it out, provide the feedback if you want to play with it. It's up to you. We are also in our developer portal, guys. We have information like user guide, how to try it, how to configure. It's not only just in the readme of the repo, but also in our developer portal. So yeah, maybe next. Yeah. So what we'll do next, guys, is we are planning to actually do the remote MCP server. So as Vandewilly was explaining, this was a local MCP server, and this is how the actually industry started. And we are kind of last year, we are waiting for MCP authorization specification to evolve, and And it happened last November, for example, there was a new update, which actually makes us more happy because actually it is fitting our use case and it will be more suitable for GreenLake actually to follow. So that's in our plans. We plan to also expand eventually to the right operations. We need to be a little careful there, and there need to be human in the loop to make those decisions. So we don't want AI agents to just blindly make the changes to your workspaces, because again, this is enterprise information, and if it messed up, it can it can impact your infrastructure. And we want to also expand to the most GreenLake services. The approach that we take, it will allow us to actually independently be able to release MCP servers from actual GreenLake services. So it's not a tight coupling. So it all depends on how the service Open API spec will evolve. So that's the way that we can actually scale release of the MCP servers. Um, yeah, one more thing. Want to just thank you all the developers who are actually was working with us on this project. It's not just only me and Vandewilly. It is. I want to thank Ramesh, David, Ching, Nishant, Chandan, Alex. So the guys who are main contributors to the project, and everybody make a big progress there. Uh, yeah, I think that's all we have, guys, for today. And I think we
Please
can.
take a minute just before leaving to answer the
Mhm.
final poll. I mean, that's for the dev community, for us. I mean, whether you think it was a good use of your time and so on. So before leaving, yeah, please do take a minute or even 5 seconds. That's all you'll need to answer the poll. And thanks again to Roman and Vandewilly. I mean, as you can see, many thumbs up, and from in the chat, people are very, I would say, enthusiastic about your presentation and the demo. So there, I think you did a real good job. There are still two open questions in the Q&A. So either Roman or Vandewilly, if you have a second just to look at it. I mean, we have like 10 minutes left. So if you can have a discussion or an answer for these people. I mean, I know whether they are commented or there are comments more than question maybe. So take a look at them just in case. Otherwise, I think that Sergey has raised his hand, so maybe he has a question. I will allow him to talk.
Mhm.
Sergey, you're on mute, but you can unmute yourself now and speak up normally. Or was it just saying hi? I don't know.
Oh, sorry, it's perhaps by mistake. Sorry
Okay,
for it.
that's okay, fine. I mean, anyone who has a question, well, feel free to use the Q&A. I mean, please use the Q&A because that's the only way for us to actually to get all the question, and then we can report them in the report at the end. So it's very useful.
Yeah, maybe you could answer the one question I think John has posted in the Q&A section. Yeah, John, feel free to connect with us if you want to use the generator or like the approach that we take. I think John, if I'm not wrong, yeah, John is from the HPE. So if anybody guys join at HPE and from the HPE wants to connect with us internally, because our generator code is not yet public. We didn't release it. We didn't decide it should we release it or not, to be honest. But if you want to connect internally, like at HP, and try it out and play with it, guys, feel free. Yeah, we can share the repo details if you contact us.
Roman, you mentioned that obviously, and Vandewilly as well. You said that it was a read-only approach. This will never change.
No, I think the plan is to take a little careful consideration before releasing right operations. We see in industry there is two approaches. Usually, like enterprises are releasing two versions of their MCP. One with just the read-only, and the second one with the read-only plus write operations. So it's kind of either MCP server itself has two versions, or it's a kind of configurable thing. So in that way, if you are not sure that you want to actually risk your enterprise this workspace and try to give the right permissions to AI agents, you can just decide to enable only read ones. So that is one approach actually we are thinking. So it will be based on a user decision, and there will be a lot of AI agents actually require to be a human in the loop before making right operations. And any right operation that agent can do, you will be able to actually approve it. But that's again depends on what your agent is along or what your assistant. For example, Cloud Desktop by default enable that. But if you write your own custom agent, you may skip it. Yeah. So it will be up to the customer and the user to decide that part. So that's why I think we are still struggling to decide, but that's in the plans. I think it will come this year.
Okay. Fair enough. No other question, it seems. I don't see any more. Nothing in the chat as well. So, well, I'll probably give you 10 minutes of your time back, which is rather unusual, but unless you have some additional comment that you want to bring up, Roman or Vandewilly, then we'll call it to an end otherwise. Any other things that you would like to share, or we covered all?
I want to thank everybody who has joined, guys. We are very excited to actually share this with the dev community. This is again exciting times. Not only just the protocol itself is evolving, but like our GreenLake project as well. So if any feedback or anything that you have to share with us, we'll be really happy to get that. Stay tuned. We'll have more news in the upcoming months. So as we say, like not only just protocol, but the GreenLake MCP servers are evolving. So we'll have more capabilities in the coming months. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for having us. If you have any questions, please contact us.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure they will do. So check your emails or Slacks. I mean, they will appear on both, I suppose. So thanks again for your time, and I think we'll call it to an end, and we'll be welcoming you next month for a meetup, as I said earlier in the presentation. And maybe let me share this. Okay. Oops, sorry. Yeah. As I said, thank you, and we'll be seeing you in February. There will be a meetup with, as I said in the beginning, with Alvin Castro from the Aruba AREDS community. He will be talking about a collection, a Postman collection that will be that is released, I think, or will be released very soon, providing some automation capabilities, obviously, to manage all the Aruba, I would say, portfolio or environment. In March, we are planning to propose another Munch and Learn that will be dedicated to open source and HPE. It will be led by Ria Schilner from the open source side of the house, I would say. So it will be a panel discussion between different members of different BUs and how they can interact and how they are using or promoting open source within or for HPE and in the CNCF as well. And then afterward, well, that's an unknown territory for April. So maybe it will be something around PCI. I need to figure out some speakers. So this is where I ask the community to stand up and to come up to me and figure out whether if you're an SME, I'll be very happy to talk to you. And if you have some subject that you would like to cover either in a Munch and Learn or in a meetup or in a blog or in a workshops on demand, well, just contact us, as we said, through Slacks, through emails, and we'll figure out a way to interact with you and propose some more content to the community. With that being said, I'll be wishing you a very good end of your day or start of your day. And I'll be seeing you very, very soon. And I'll be closing the call right now. Have a good day. Bye-bye.